Hello everyone, the channel, Animeshka, is with you. Would you like and subscribe and we begin. Anime, Cells at Work, Season 1. Today we have a retelling of an unusual anime. A serial about the work of cells in the human body. It begins with introducing us to the main characters of erythrocytes and leukocytes. The erythrocyte is a cheerful girl, a red blood cell that delivers oxygen and other nutrients to the cells. A leukocyte is a tough guy, a white blood cell that protects cells from bacteria and viruses. In general, leukocytes successfully save erythrocytes from the attack of pneumococcus. These bacteria cause pneumonia and other dangerous diseases. Get used, there are a lot of medical terms and explanations in this anime. Despite the fact that leukocytes defeated pneumococcus, one bacterium managed to escape. The human body is shown as a big city with various neighborhoods, spleen, lymph, waste, etc. While searching for the lungs, the novice erythrocyte stumbles upon the villain. Fortunately, the leukocyte came to the rescue again. However, the bacterium uses a cunning trick and escapes. Our heroes go in search of bacteria, because if they do not get rid of it quickly, the body may die. Along the way, they meet platelets that look like babies and walk in groups, as well as T cells, local special forces, lymphocytes, which also protect the body like leukocytes. T cells tell the erythrocyte to look back more often, because pneumococcus preys on it. Finally, they arrive in the lungs. All the time, while the leukocyte and erythrocyte were together, the boy's receptor reported danger. However, as soon as they separated, the receptor stopped responding. It was then that the boy realized that the bacterium was hiding in the box of the erythrocyte. Having managed, just in time, the leukocyte saved the erythrocyte for the third time, but this time he had a hard time. Pneumococcus almost won, but got trapped and successfully flew out of the body with the help of a normal sneeze. The next episode is dedicated to the scratch on the skin. In the life of erythrocytes, everything is calm. They move around the body, carry oxygen and other nutrients. We are told about platelets, represented by small men. These are blood cells that form a protein and close the injury site. But then a terrible thing happens. An earthquake happens, and literally in an instant a huge hole is formed. Poor little red blood cells are being sucked into this hole. Fortunately, the leukocyte came to their aid again. He says that because of the injury, the upper layer of the skin collapsed, and with it the wall of the blood vessel was damaged, and the blood cells came out. However, the hole is not the only problem. Through this hole, bacteria began to enter the body, led by Staphylococcus aureus, which is very dangerous. Erythrocytes are trying to escape from the epicenter, but the human circulatory system is designed in such a way that blood cannot flow in the opposite direction, so they are trapped. Leukocytes came to the rescue during the time and began to destroy the bacteria. However, due to a scratch on the skin, new bacteria enter the body in batches. The army of Staphylococcus aureus is replenished every second, and leukocytes are losing ground. Suddenly a platelet squad appears, which quickly seal up the hole, and the bacteria cease to penetrate the body, and the leukocytes easily overcome the remaining ones. The next series anime is about viruses. It all starts with naive T cell. This, by the way, is a real term. This is the name of the T killer, a type of T lymphocytes that has never met with an antigen. Naive goes out on his first patrol, but does not cope with the army of cells infected with the flu virus. They look like zombies. A leukocyte appears and saves the kid, then a macrophage is added to them, also a protective cell that recognizes, captures, and destroys strangers. In general, these three cope with the first wave of flu. However, the second wave turns out to be much larger, and T killers come to the rescue. Together they fight off the flu. However, Our naive flees from the battlefield and stumbles upon a dendritic cell. This is a cell that explains to other cells how to move through life. He tells the naive that T-killers used to be naive too, but they trained hard, overcame themselves, and became T-killers. After that, our naive activated and returned to the battlefield, yes, and copied himself. Plus, a B cell has come to the battlefield, which can create weapons in the form of antibodies. Thanks to the joint work of the immune system, the flu virus was defeated in a week. But it's too early to celebrate, because the virus mutated and became influenza A, but that's another story. In the 4th series, we are shown the work of the stomach, and also introduced to a new character. Eosinophil is a type of white blood cell, represented by a girl in pink. Their number increases during allergic reactions and parasite infestation. They also destroy bacteria. There is a shaking and an alarm is announced. It turns out that the food that got into the human body was poisoned by a bacterium, namely cholera vibrio. It lives in marine inhabitants, and its ingestion leads to severe abdominal pain. All cells are informed about evacuation, but the eosinophil defeats the bacterium, since the fight against bacteria in the intestine is its main job. It turns out that along with the bacterium, anisocote also got in, a worm that parasitizes marine fish. In the body, it causes poisoning and vomiting. The person reacts to this by vomiting, but it does not help. Then the eosinophil enters the fight and defeats him. All the cells of the body are happy and thank her. In the next series, we are told how the body works during allergies. Japanese cedar blossomed and pollen got into the body. The B cell or B lymphocyte begins to produce special antibodies to destroy the irritant. As the level of antibodies rises, the mastocyte or mast cell acts according to the instructions and increases the level of histamine, which should help. But due to the large amount of histamine, the system of allergic reactions was activated. A person at this time begins to sneeze nonstop, tears appear, and stuffs his nose. And what does he do? Right. Takes a pill, a steroid, an anti-inflammatory that suppresses allergy symptoms and kills everything and everyone in its path. Fortunately, its duration is limited. In the 6th series, we are shown how cells are born. Our erythrocyte wanders and gets into the bone marrow, which is the birthplace of red blood cells. She sees how all the blood cells appear, then their role is determined. Erythrocytes are taught to deliver oxygen, to run away from bacteria. And then, they are sent to work in the body. The body was attacked again, looks like a normal virus, but something is wrong here. Leukocytes and T-killers decide to figure it out. Suddenly, an NK cell appears that attacks virus-infected cells. The T cell and the NK cell quarrel with each other, and then they go to deal with the virus. Having reached the cell-less part of the body, the NK cell saw through the boy who lured them to this place under the pretext that he saw infected cells breeding here. In the next episode, we will find out that this guy is a cancer cell that perfectly knows how to disguise itself as a healthy cell. The fight begins, the NK cell, the T-killer and the leukocyte fight together, but the cancer cells dominate. Meanwhile, all the erythrocytes began to deliver huge batches of nutrients to the site of cancer accumulation. Our guys are losing to cancer cells, but immune cells have come to their aid. Together, they defeated cancer, and the final blow was inflicted by the NK cell, since it becomes stronger because of a person's laughter. In the 8th series, the root of the erythrocyte is shown, where it completely passes the circulatory system from the inferior vena cava to the heart, and from there to the lung. This journey is not complete without adventures. In general, anyone who is interested in finding out how the oxygen saturation of the lungs occurs, be sure to take a look. Let me remind you, this is episode 8 of season 1, and we're moving on. In the next 9th episode, we are told about T cells or T killers. These are natural killer cells of infection and even cancer cells. They take orders from T helper cells, so to speak, commanders. There are also T suppressor cells. They control the strength of the immune response. And the dendritic cells, the guy in green, alert immune cells about the threat and take part in the formation of T cells. Next, we are told the background of all T cells. In the beginning, when they are small, they are called hemocytes. They grow up, train a lot, and undergo various tests to become a real T cell with their specialization. In the 10th episode, we are again waiting for a scratch. However, this time the body was attacked not by one bacterium, but by a whole colony of Staphylococcus aureus. When they merge, they look like a bunch of grapes. Leukocytes alone cannot win this time, because Staphylococcus has a coagulant, a special enzyme against which white blood cells are powerless. However, monocytes, immune cells that are involved in protecting the body, come to the rescue. But when they leave the circulatory system, as they are now, they become macrophages. These are white blood cells that capture and destroy foreign bodies, as well as purify the blood from dead bacteria and cells. In general, elegant ladies, macrophages, kill all bacteria. And in the 11th episode, we are waiting for a heat stroke. There was little water left in the body, and it began to overheat. Blood cells struggle to cool the body by rushing to the skin. The sweat glands are working at maximum. This does not help, and accelerated blood flow begins. There is dizziness, a pre-fainting state, and then heat stroke. Yes, in addition, a brilliant bacillus has made its way into the body. The leukocyte cannot catch it because the body is very hot. Dehydration sets in. The body and cells suffer, but the bacillus does not care, because it can withstand extreme temperatures. It would seem that our nameless body has come to an end, and the bacillus has won, but no. The dropper arrived in time, and refreshing water gushed into the body. The temperature returned to normal, the cells recovered, and the leukocyte finished off the bacillus. And so we got to the final episodes of the first season, and they touch on the rather scary topic of hemorrhagic shock. In general, our young erythrocyte got a student. She tells her how everything works, not without jams, of course, so the student is not entirely happy with her teacher. However, the unexpected happened, and the person was seriously injured. His blood pressure rose, and all the red blood cells flew out, because the wound was open. Due to the lack of erythrocytes and blood in general, oxygen starvation began. There is no one to deliver oxygen to the cells, and they die. Our heroine and her student are struggling to deliver oxygen, but their strength is not enough. Due to the fact that the pressure rises, the red blood cells become even smaller. And now it would seem that everything is over. Hemorrhagic shock cannot be avoided due to a large loss of blood, and without the help of a doctor, the body will not survive. But out of nowhere, a huge pile of red blood cells appears, thanks to blood transfusion. This is one of the most important breakthroughs of mankind in the field of medicine. New erythrocytes quickly corrected the situation with oxygen delivery. Platelets patched the wound, and the body returned to normal. And the cells continued to go about their business. Red blood cells delivered oxygen, platelets repaired wounds, and white blood cells fought viruses. This is the end of the first season. And what happened next, we will soon find out. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video.